Hi, I'm Debbie Russell. I'm a trustee on the school board for Del Valley in single-member District 2, and very proud to have only 3,000 constituents and not 812,000. I wanted to say a couple things. Thank you very much for serving. This is a very important job. I appreciate your time and effort and energy that's going into this. I wanted to respond to Mr. Rigsby, though, as to your pessimism that this will pass. This will pass this time because of a citizens commission, if in fact we do place that on the ballot. That's what's going to make the difference, I do believe. And it also will...
A lot of them.
Okay.
No betting. Please let the witness...
I'm trying to do it within 2 minutes. Really, also we have to have the right number on the ballot, the right number of districts, and that, in fact, 6 is not going to make it. If we've had 8 time and time again, and the last time we had it, we were 150,000 people ago. There's no way we can divide our city up equitably and capture minority opportunity districts with 6. 8 is definitely not going to cut it either, but 6 definitely won't. Adding in at-large is going to be very problematic. At-large is going to continue the problems we've seen that we're trying to change by implementing single districts. It will water down the power of minority groups and will water down the power of neighborhoods. Let's not continue the broken system with continuing at large. I wanted to also respond to you. You have a chart that Ryan Robertson, our demographer, sent out, and on that chart, I reworked it. It doesn't reflect the right numbers. I won't go into detail right now, but the math is wrong because he didn't take out the at-larges and he didn't take out the mixed districts before doing the calculation per capita. We are the largest proportionally representative city in the United States by far, and I'll send you the corrected chart that shows that. No matter what we do, we'll get better. But if we get to 6, we're going to be, I think, still at the 6th largest in the nation, if I'm correct, and 10, if we get to 8, that'll put us at the 10th, and if we get to 10, that will put us at the more like 16th in the nation, more in line with our peer cities. So 10 is a fair number, and you'll hear a lot more about why it will take 10 to get past the DOJ. So let's see. And I also want to caution you from taking too many hints from our attorneys at the Bickerstaff firm. If you remember, they were the ones that defended our city on the gentleman's agreement, which is what the problem is and why we are where we are today. So consider that biasness before you hear about 6 and 8 being adequate from their standpoint. And I think I'm going to leave it there, and we'll pick up next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Russell.
The fundamental point I want to make is that I've been for geographic representation since I was in college, because for one thing, I don't think there's ever been true at-large. I think it's a myth that somebody represents some geographic area called all of Austin. They represent where they live. The first election I was ever involved in 71, 5 of the city councilmen lived so close together a small explosive device could have killed the 5 of the members of the city council. One of them lived in South Austin, and one of them, one African American, lived in North Austin, and we had to find East Austin with a street map. The other thing is, I've been involved with redistricting since the first VRA submission was made by Travis County, which was the first submission made to the Justice Department, by any county in Texas under that law. I've worked with this law for some almost 40 years. And what I understand is the most vital thing is to provide representation to the protected groups, which in Travis County are African Americans and Hispanics. At one time, you could have done that with 6 districts. At another time, you could do it with 8. Frankly, by the 90s, 8 was problematic for African Americans. I have worked in good faith with redistricting software to draw maps to see if 8 would still work for the African American community, because obviously it will for the Hispanics. It will not. You cannot draw a district that is sufficiently adequate under the rules of compactness and contiguousness to provide a district that would elect an African American. It takes 10 districts because the criteria you have to have is to have an opportunity to elect an African American without drawing so many districts that having an African American means they're part of a circus act. And the truth is that, in my opinion, and I have done all the redistricting for Travis County from 73 to 2000. I have redistricted over 40 counties in 3 states, and none of the county submissions I have made for any jurisdiction has ever been objected to by the Justice Department in the entire time I did that work. In my opinion, 10 is the smallest number you can have and meet the requirements of the VRA under the Justice Department and be accepted by the Justice Department. And that is why I'm supporting the efforts of the group that is providing 10 districts. That's why I will be here at your group for the entire process and recommending you recommend that number of districts to the citizens, and you recommend no at large, because I don't think we need to give one more district to West Austin. Thank you.
Mr. Young?
Yes, sir.
Can you commit to be with us at our future meetings for expert testimony, the
Yes.
questions that the members might have?
Yes, I want to be clear that I'm participating not in any capacity associated with ACC, but as a private citizen, and I have every intention of joining you at every meeting I can possibly be at, just as I am with the group I'm providing advice to as a citizen. Yes, sir.
We know you're very apolitical, so you'll be very objective.
We all are.
Roger Burgelt.
Thank you. And
We got
again,
about 9 minutes.
I'm going to give some time back.
Oh,
and
great.
so I appreciate also the effort that this commission is putting in, and I apologize for being late this evening. I had pre-scheduled events, but I'm glad you were able to work me into your schedule. I am also have been involved in the inception, or since the inception, I should say, with Austinites for Geographic Representation. I particularly have been representing the Travis County Republican Party in that regard, and am fully supportive of the 10-1 plan for a lot of reasons that have already been expressed. I have to say that my particular constituency is not particularly keen in expanding the size of the council to 10 districts, but being a lawyer and having been involved in election law myself and looking at some of the numbers, I have to agree with the analysis that in order to actually create and perpetuate an African American opportunity district, we have to go to 10 districts. That's my conclusion after looking at the numbers, and I completely buy my good friend Peck Young's analysis of those numbers, and I want to let that comment sink in for just a minute. That Peck and I are totally on the same page on all of this, because it may be the only thing in our entire history that we will ever be entirely on the same page on. So I want you all to completely understand that. And I would hope that you all would support that plan. I think that we need to get away from this at-large system. Our city is too large to have at-large council members. At-large council members simply cannot, in whatever configuration, adequately represent the city. They simply become mayors in waiting, and that's not really what we need under any kind of a system. So I'm committed to pushing my party toward a 10-1 system. We're already committed to single-member districts. We're going to be considering in October the specific Austinites for Geographic Representation plan. I expect that we will line up fully in support of it. I'm certainly going to be working for that. And quite frankly, and I mean this with the highest degree of respect, whether or not you all go forward with it, our group, Austinites for Geographic Representation, is going to push forward for a charter amendment to establish this plan. So thank you.
Mr. Burgelt, let me say that watching you and Peck Young work together, I wish they would do that in Washington.
I have a quick question.
Quick question, Mr. Burgelt.
Yeah.
Is it possible to see what this draft 10-1 plan is, just to?
Well, we have a petition drive, and essentially most of the language, and we're still trying to finalize the language, is involved in establishing the nonpartisan redistricting commission. The actual districts are not drawn in our plan. We leave that to the redistricting commission to do. So we don't actually have a map.
Stacy Suits. I'm with Austinites for Geographic Representation, and I was the campaign manager for the 1985 and 1988 elections for 8-1. I became interested and worked real hard in the 80s on this issue when it became apparent to me in 1981 that the wheels were falling off of the gentleman's agreement. There was a meeting at House Central Austin near 32nd and Duval, where basically people from the Central City neighborhood groups and Democratic Party groups told a Hispanic candidate that he would not be supported by the coalition, and because he was not running in place 5. Also in that election year, I worked for Charles Erdy as a volunteer who was running for place 6. The main thing that we were really concentrating at was in trying to see is that the African American that got the plurality of the vote in East Austin should be the choice. We wanted to get the Central Austin and West Austin groups to back the plurality candidate of the East Austin community. And it just started striking me that it was just kind of paternalistic, picking another parts of town's representatives, and that each part of town should represent their own. For example, I live in South Austin. We have no council members, probably should have 3, but we got 3 United States congressmen. Behind me, it goes to San Antonio. In South Central, it goes to San Antonio, and then Southwest, we don't know yet. The person will be either from Brownwood or Cleveland, Texas, or maybe even Navasota. I mean, it's just nuts the way these districts were drawn. In the 94 and 88 elections, the geographic district proposals did best when it referenced having citizens commissions or independent commissions to draw the lines, and I think that's a key component on this. Is that, and that's why I was rambling about the state redistricting. People don't feel comfortable about politicians drawing their own lines, especially in South Austin now. And I think you're going to have to address the independent commission.
Thank you, Mr. Suits. Members, if you have any questions, Mr. Suits and Mr. Young have extensive experience